Hello, folks. Welcome to the Mirror World. My name is Chad. I'm your host. Today I have with me Trent Goodbaudy from the Freedom from Government YouTube channel. And he also has his own website, freedomfromgovernment.org. Trent is real active in the freedom community and the concepts of self-ownership. And it's good to have you today, Trent.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.
Tell me a little bit
about. I can make it work.
Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got started into the freedom movement.
I was always a rebel, and when I was a kid, I used to be out of control. And I used to be out of control. I had a lot of run-ins with the legal system back, starting as early as when I was like 15 and stuff. But I ended up, getting a lot of experience from that. It was like training almost from the time I was. I'm sorry, what's that?
Trial and error, basically.
Definitely.
Being exposed to the system and kind of being put into it not by choice, Yeah,
and learning their scam. The first thing they got to do is get you represented, because that removes control from. You can't make any decisions if you're some guy that's making it for you. So that's a big piece of how they get you into, I don't know. It's a big system, and it's been developed over hundreds of years, and it's basically just evolved from a slavery system. So essentially, that is what it is. But these days, they have to have your consent. You have to sign a form, for them to have this authority over you.
Everything,
because the government. Yeah, the government is instituted. We created the government, and it's only there to protect our rights. And it's evolved and grown into something that's a lot more than that nowadays. And through our apathy, we've allowed it to happen. So what needs to happen now is we have
monstrosity now.
Yeah. We have to stand up to the beast that we created and think it was powerful. It only has the power that you give it, though. So it only has the power that we collectively give it as well. Nowadays, it's telling us that we have to, put ritualistic shame muzzles on our faces, and it's getting a lot easier for people to see how crazy and corrupt it is. It's nuts. But,
so do you think
go back,
all the COVID-19 stuff is just a precursor to the vaccinations? Like that's their end game? They want to get everybody vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the vaccination is bad news. And, it's not just one vaccination either. They say, oh, well, it's going to be, you're going to have to get it twice, 2 weeks later. And who knows? They're going to change the rules as we go along the whole time. It used to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Now it's been over almost a year, So it's it's just so ridiculous and laughable and crazy that we've had the common cold and the flu in the world forever, and we've never done this about it. Yeah.
As long as there's been humans, there's been, communicable diseases.
Yeah. But
and the thing is, like, I've never seen anything pushed like this before.
Yeah.
You can tell it's an agenda just by how hard they push it. That's all you see if you turn on the TV or the radio. That's all you see in here is COVID this, vaccinations that, So they're just cramming it down people's throats. Like they think if they repeat the lie enough that, it'll become true. People will start to believe it.
Yeah, and you know what? For a lot of people, it is becoming true just from hearing the lie. That's, I think Adolf Hitler said that. Just make the lie big, make it simple, and keep repeating it. And
Yeah,
eventually,
repetition.
everybody will come around. So
Yeah, that was his Minister of Information, Dr. Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels. And I think Edward Bernays said something along those lines as well. He was the father of, the propaganda machine. Edward Bernays wrote a lot of books about it, talking
well, I
about,
think that
how to, get propaganda circulated and get people believing it.
yeah. Well, the rule of the day is confusion. I mean, it's crazy just watching what's been transpiring with the whole all of 2020 was just wow. But I think it was a gauge. It was a test to see how willing people are to just give up their freedom. Really, I do see some positive in it that more and more people are beginning to realize that the government is just imaginary. It's like Santa Claus, or it only has the power that we give it. So
it's a paper tiger, just a paper tiger.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what they deal in best is propaganda and confusion. People don't really know where to turn to get truthful information.
Yeah, I know.
People
and
try to.
It's hard because there's big names intentionally trying to lead others astray. I feel like, you know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to know what to do. But you know what?
Yeah.
If you stay on the side of positivity and love your neighbor, all these cops with badges, I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that they've been misled. And yeah, some of them can be violent and angry. But when we are angry and violent, it's like a bully trying to stop bullying by being a bully. It's not going to work, So, and I think that people that act out really just need more love. So it's crazy. There's, some people out there will say, "Oh, well, if you try to stand up for your rights, you're going to get your ass kicked by the cops." I beg to differ. It's all in how you handle it. So.
Yeah, and our rights don't come from government to begin with. We're born with inherent rights.
Yeah.
Our rights come from our Creator. You know,
and the law is real simple.
Government. Yeah, everything goes back to the Bible. Our law is supposedly founded on the Bible.
Yeah,
and that's what people need to get back to.
I like to think of the Bible as a book of trust, because basically it's God entrusting us with this planet and a rule book, kind of. What the most profound thing to me is that we can't write rules. A legislature can't make up rules or laws. Laws are self-evident, and they are they like the law of gravity. It exists, and you don't. It's not written down anywhere. It just happens.
Right. It doesn't need to be written down.
Yeah.
It's self-evident.
Yeah.
And that's all truth. All truth is self-evident. It doesn't need to be written down.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe our remedy is in the Bible. It's not in any amount of legal, fictitious paperwork that we can file. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, God, it's real simple with God. You just have to have faith and do the right thing, and he might send you to jail for a minute to test you. It's like it's like a leap of faith and a trial by fire. You're going to be tested. So, pass the test.
Right.
And there's a lot
of
yeah.
God has his own way of testing us sometimes.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that think paperwork's going to save them, and the thing is that oh geez, I lost my thought. But paperwork is when you give a cop paperwork on the side of the road, you're waiving your own Fourth Amendment. You know what I mean? The people have the right not to they have the right to be secure in their persons.
Unwarranted, searches and seizures.
Yeah. And then when they answer any questions from the cop, like, do you have a license? You're waiving your Fifth Amendment, self-incrimination. So you got to be real careful and know how to talk, and you don't have to be perfect, but you got to know certain things. Some people like to hand the cops a big old stack of papers when they get pulled over, and that's making a lot of assumptions there. You're presuming that the cop can even read to begin with, and that may not even be the case.
Right.
So, let alone, they may even be able to read, but they may not. They might. It might just be, to them, it just might look like some different foreign language. They're not the one who is determining, whether you're following God's law or not, because they obviously have been trained to follow some other law, some other statute. So,
right, they've been trained and indoctrinated, to follow the statutes and their procedures.
Yeah.
So when you have what they mean and how you're trying to apply them,
But I don't, before any ever put on bad, we were all a big, I want to say family, in this world, that we're all alternates of each other, and I think that's where that rule, treat others as you would want to be treated, comes from. I feel like we are just alternates of ourselves, so when I look at them, why not treat them how I want to be treated, instead of acting like there's some enemy or something? I'm not at war. I'm at peace.
Right.
So we're not supposed to be. I'm not hating. I'm not trying to hate them, and I know it's hard. It's hard because we see things on video all the time. We see lots of bad news, and man, it's so much bad news. But we have to be strong, and we really have to keep faith. A lot of that stuff out there is fake. So you can't let it get you.
It's faith.
All in the uproar. Yeah. So
tell me about your first experience driving with private plates. How did that go down?
My first experience driving with private plates.
Yeah, and encountering quote unquote law enforcement.
It's boring. They don't mess with me. I've never never been stopped. I've never been stopped with the private plates. The last time I was stopped, I had expired California tags on the car, and that was a mistake because they pulled me over. I was still able to talk my way out of it without getting a ticket and with them letting me drive away. But I would have been better off just having the private plates on there, because I never get pulled over. My friends have been pulled over here in Nevada, and every time they do know what to say, though, and they have faith in God, and they trust God, and they
right.
but it doesn't happen every time. You can get your car towed and stuff if you don't do it right. So, I mean, and it's not even if you don't do it right, you can do everything right and still, have, you can't depend on,
there's there's no silver bullet, so to speak.
That, and there's no way you can predict, there's no way you can calculate how another person is going to, you can't, their experiences are different. They may have had a real bad day, and
right.
you can't, you can only do what you can do. But, if somebody has had a real bad day and you get pulled over by them and you add to that by trying to make their day worse, it's not going to work. If
they're going to take it out on you.
Yeah. If someone, but what would happen if you were nice to them? The first thing I do is I say, thank you for your service. And I know there's probably a million people out there that go, oh yeah, what kind of service? I'm sure they beat somebody up or so. But I don't know about that, and I don't have any evidence of that. And for me to prejudge them and about something like that is wrong on my part. So I trust
that
everybody.
onto them anyway.
I will give everybody a shot until they. Yeah, I'll give everybody a shot. I will try, and it's probably wrong, but I'll trust everybody until they give me a reason not to. And yeah, I've made mistakes trusting people that I shouldn't have trusted. What's that?
I try to give people the benefit of the doubt as well. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah, for sure.
When you first encounter someone, you try to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a chance to prove otherwise, Yeah.
And sometimes they really do prove otherwise. But
I think a lot of police and courts, they operate on presumption. They presume you're a citizen, and they presume jurisdiction over you.
Yeah, and you know what? It's human nature not to just let it go, to just decide when they're making presumptions. It's in our nature to let it go. That's the wrong thing to do. We gotta speak up, and we gotta let them know. Hey, look, you might be making some presumptions. It could be as simple as saying, "I think there's a mistake." But who am I? If I don't even know what the heck. Who am I to say what the mistake even is? As long as I can put that out there, even if you're in a courtroom situation, and I'm not saying to go to court voluntarily. As a matter of fact, I'm saying that if you get a victimless charge and they want you to go to court, I would tell them, for the record, I do not participate. And if I didn't make this statement, people would think that I appear to consent. But non-participation is the best strategy. And you know what? I went into a courtroom one time for a friend to try to help him with his defense, and the judge. Oh wait, no, it was somebody, I forget. Told the judge, "I'm here under duress," and what the judge said was pretty profound. He said, "Nobody held a gun for you to be here today." So that was something that really made me think. So nowadays, I will not go to their sham proceeding unless I'm in chains. And I know that sounds harsh, like, oh, they're going to come get you on a warrant or whatever. But that's how they keep you in compliance, is by these threats of violence. And if I go in there in chains, nobody's going to be able to say that I volunteered to show up. Nobody will be able to say that. So, and then just, look, I'm not participating. If you have a fictional victim trying to say that I am a criminal or that I've done something wrong, I need to face my accuser type of thing. I'm not going to participate if it's
Right. You
sham
have a
proceeding
right
like
to
that. If
call
they're
your
trying to commit
accuser.
fraud, yeah, I'm not going to compromise because I have a higher authority than that, and he tells me that I can't ever compromise, and I have to from here on out, I got to stick up for myself. I can't unlearn this stuff and start and go back and to be a brainwashed program sheep anymore. I can't. I gotta call him like I see him.
Exactly.
And now that man, I am blessed for it too. It's crazy. Once I stopped identifying with the state, I started receiving massive blessings.
Your life is improved.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think more and more people are waking up, man, and like the knowledge is becoming widespread now. It wasn't this way 5 or 6 years ago. Like most people weren't familiar with sovereignty and all these concepts.
Yeah, well, there's lots of people that have given even as much as their lives, everything they have owned for freedom over the millennia, and for us to just let it go is really, really sad. So, I would hope and pray that more people would wake up, and with this latest crap that's been going on, it's hard not to, so yeah.
I know it's been eye-opening for a lot of my family members.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've been ridiculed, trying to wake people up, and they tell me I'm crazy and, this and that and the other. I'm like, well, you'll see eventually, they'll show their hand. And people will either wake up or they won't, And this whole thing with the COVID and all that, like their hand,
Yeah, it's sad.
And they've used,
this is going to end up taking a lot of people out.
Distraction.
Yeah. What are they distracting us from? The flu, really? Why are they going? The flu has not left the news for a year now. What is such the big deal about a coronavirus? That's wow. And to take it to the point where it's so threatening that you might die, and we have to change all these things about our society. It's fake, is what it is. It's what they're trying to usher in, a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, trying to usher in a new society where we have freedom. When there's no property ownership.
Yeah. It seems to me all these tactics are right out of the Communist Manifesto. Isolating people, keeping them in their homes, restricting movement, travel.
Yeah, I saw a meme.
Like they're trying their hardest to break people down psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's broken. Like, seriously. Especially, and the people that you see walking down the street wearing a mask. It's got to be awful for them, And
just the way they hang your head, like defeated.
Yeah.
They look defeated.
Yeah. Which, suicide isn't that far off. When you have no hope, it sucks, and it's really, really sad. But who do you fight? It's crazy. This is like a war, but who do you fight? That's the problem. I mean,
it's like the war on terror. There's no real enemy.
Yeah, and we can't. Fighting makes it worse, I think. So what we have to do is
it does.
We have to spread awareness, and it's tough. But nowadays, people are willing to listen. They're more willing to listen, and that's why they had to get these these provocateurs out there, because when people want to hear something, they have to have something in between them and the truth. You know what I mean? So it's tough. Both sides of every war have been funded. It's money making.
By the same
Every
people.
war is
yeah.
So this one is not going to be any different, and it is a war.
Same people.
Yeah. It's just amazing how brazen they've become. How they must really have a doozy plan for us, because they've pulled out all the stops. They've shown their hand. It's nuts. I don't understand. But there's never been a better time to get right with yourself, and realize who you are.
Yep.
And who you are not. Yeah. So
I've been watching a lot of Kurt Kallenbach stuff recently. Are you familiar with Kurt?
Yeah. I haven't heard him in a while though. I don't know. I haven't. I'm not sure what he's been saying these days, but yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot of real great info out there. But there's a lot of
Kurt's boiled it down
interference too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Kurt's boiled it down to fertilization. Our life begins at fertilization on day one. It doesn't start with our birth date.
Yeah.
Some man-made, contrived, origin of life, such as the birth date. And by claiming a birth date, that puts us into the legal realm, so to speak.
Yeah, and if you believe in God and you believe that you have a soul that exists separate from your body, that existed prior to fertilization even. So
exactly.
The body, it's like this like a meat suit that I'm wearing, I'm not even sure it's actually me. I feel like I am just like a remote controlling this thing, and it's that's kind of a interesting way to look at things. But I feel like I am more than just this. This is an experience for sure, and I've been I've experienced some things where I was like, look up to the sky, why, God, why? And I would get a still small voice telling me it's for the experience. This whole thing is for the experience. So I would make it memorable, and try to learn something.
We only live once that we know of, right?
Yeah,
we only live one time that we're aware of.
As far as we're concerned, this is it, So I feel personally, I feel like it's Groundhog Day. Like I've had to keep reliving this life until I get it right. So I really want to get it right this time. It's time.
So we can ascend.
Yeah, I want to see what's next. I think it'll be pretty awesome.
Who wants to keep coming back here? I know I don't want to keep coming back here over and over.
Yeah. And I
like we're stuck in the same
what happens.
realm.
But I've learned to listen to my intuition, and that has really helped me a lot. Multiple, I can't even count how many times my intuition has done me right, just listening to, I don't know. It's just, there's been a lot of times when it was like I was pulling out of the parking lot because the intuition told me that I couldn't, it doesn't matter where you go, just can't stay here. And a cop was like pulling into the parking lot as I was pulling out, kind of thing. Just real crazy, right. Skin of your teeth kind of stuff, So it helps
following your heart,
learn how to listen to that. Yeah. and knowing that your word is your law.
So people need to.
I just learned that recently listening to Florence Scovel Shinn. She was the author 100 years ago, writing about a new interpretation of the scripture, basically, you know. And some people, a lot of people are like, "Oh, we can't afford that," and you know what? You're making it true by saying it. So,
right,
something
whatever
I like
you
to do
say,
is
you're
add
going to
yet.
manifest.
Yeah, something I like to do is add yet to the end of everything. Just add yet. You know, it hasn't happened yet, so you still leave room for it
Right.
to happen. So, yeah,
Right.
but man, we are just. I feel like there's something feeding on our energy, and it doesn't feed on the positive energy. It's like it doesn't want that. It wants the negative energy. It wants to just suck up all that negative energy. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I get that same feeling, like something evil and nefarious out there that just feeds on negative energy. And the more negative, the more negative energy that's flowing, it's like this entity or whatever it is just gets stronger and stronger. It's like it's trying to manifest itself into our realm.
Yeah, like it
whatever you want to call it, whether it's Satan or the devil.
Yeah.
Right. It's never enough. Like it can't get enough.
Well, it's weird because I can't describe God, but I know that I feel a presence, there's like it's everything. It's omnipresent. It's the universe, all happening at once. I can't say who God is, but I know that there is something, there's a higher authority.
We know what it isn't, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was Jordan Maxwell that said, "I don't know what God is, but I know what it isn't,"
Yeah, definitely.
What men have called God.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
and you were saying you have to speak your own law. The word jurisdiction means to speak the law.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a combination of juris and diction.
Yep.
So we have to own our own truth.
Yeah, and you know what? My own truth is of no consequence. It is the grand flame of truth that that will not be extinguished. It's if I could believe in God, whatever, and someone else doesn't have to believe the same thing I do, and it's of no consequence. That's why it doesn't matter, what your beliefs are. But the truth will be known.
I mean, that's your right as a human. Yeah, believe what you want. That's everybody's has that freedom to make that choice.
Yeah, and I have learned over time. I was not always a God-fearing Christian, as some might say. But as a matter of fact, there was a point in time in my life where I was kind of far, I was not with God, but I came back because it's got to be the only way. It's the only way. With so much evil and Saturn, Satan worship and black magic, and everybody having their little plastic totem that controls them. Oh man, isn't that nuts? Like,
yeah,
it's like voodoo.
Graven image
or something.
That's exactly the thoughts that I've had. Necromancy.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to bring life to the dead, trying to give life to inanimate objects, inanimate things, whether it be the driver's license or the birth certificate.
While enslaving the entire human race at the same time.
Absolutely.
And if you don't think you're a slave, try not wearing a mask. It's made it real self-evident lately. It's so crazy. Like, try to go grocery shopping. And actually, I would, no matter what, I would just do it because if we don't, we lose, So just like, before all this stuff happened there, how Walmart was making you show your receipt when you left the store. Man,
right.
That's like,
that's another crazy thing.
It's like they planned this. It's weird. This stuff, it's just, I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't either. You can tell it's an agenda.
Yeah.
Anybody that can't see that it's an agenda, like they need to open their eyes, but you can't force people to wake up. Everybody has to do it in their own time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. But, they're making that real easy. They're making it real easy for people to wake up by pulling this crap, So,
yeah. All anybody really needs to do is to listen to the language and pay attention to the language that they use. Because we've been deceived through language.
Yeah. And it's hard because, you don't, if you only know one language and that's the slave speak, then it's going to be problematic. And, it's amazing to me seeing how the progression of Google and Facebook and YouTube censoring. Essentially, that's like modern day book learning. We're going to be, we used to be like,
451.
Wow, great. Google's great. You can find anything, but now the results have been doctored. And it's funny that we have that term doctored for when you fudge something, because they're trying to get us all doctored with this vaccine, and they're trying to doctor our lives. It's so funny how the term doctor can be used like that. Like, that's why I don't ever want to go to the doctor.
Right, because they practice medicine.
Yeah.
Practice.
Just like
what
lawyers.
Is that? You practice medicine, you practice law. Yeah. Practice law. Like, what are you're just practicing at it? You should perfect it by now.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, that makes it sound like a hobby. You practice at a hobby or a sport,
Or more importantly, that you're just practicing so you don't have to be held responsible for your actions, kind of thing,
Right. Yeah, it's so hard to sue a doctor these days.
Yeah.
For malpractice, because they all have to carry that insurance. And it makes it impossible to sue them when something goes wrong.
Yeah. And
so what does that tell us? That tells us that we shouldn't be using their services.
Yeah, well, you think about it. What is it? It's magic pills, and it's cutting people open. That's what they do. They cut people open, and they have magic pills. But if you're lucky, you'll get the chemo. That's real. That's high class treatment. That's real expensive.
Yeah, and, pharmakia.
Yeah.
The pharmakia, that's the Greek word for witchcraft, magic.
Yeah, that's why they have a little snake.
Isn't that strange that they... Right, the caduceus, the staff of Hermes, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Form of serpent worship.
Yeah.
I always wondered why they use that thing.
Yeah. It seems like everything they do that's bad, they gotta tell us about it. They gotta put it in plain sight. Maybe it's some kind of thing or so. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it has to do something with the ritual or whatever. Like they have to let you know about it in so many ways, maybe hide it in
Yeah.
plain sight.
Yep.
But it's pretty creepy.
Sorry about that.
All that shit's creepy.
Yeah, and it sucks to be stuck in the middle of it, you know? It's like this whole life is a bad horror, like a B-rated horror movie or something. It's nuts.
It almost seems surreal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything happening is just a bad dream, you know? A B-movie horror movie dream.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like the more we can make things more real by believing in them. You know what I mean? So it's just, if people are resentful, the more that people have to resent, you know, the more that people resent things, the more they will have to resent. It's kind of like it feeds on itself, and it's easy to get
it's a
stuck
vicious
in.
circle.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the very meaning behind the Ouroboros, you know, the snake that eats its own tail in a circle.
Yeah.
It's almost like you keep getting what you give, or you keep manifesting whatever you think about. So if your thoughts are always negative, you know, you're going to continue to be stuck in that cycle.
Yep. You get back what you give. I think that's the concept of karma. It comes, what you give, what you put out there comes back to you. You know,
Absolutely.
And it might have multiplied. It might have grown by the time it gets back to you. So you might want to put goodness out there. So that's what you get back.
Right?
Yeah.
You get what
Yep.
Well, that's about all I have for you today. I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Yeah. Well, maybe I could just talk a little bit about like what I would do if the cops messed with me or something, you know?
Yeah. Like, just for the people out there listening, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So let's say you see the red and blues in your rearview mirror, and you're like, oh, crap. Most people are like that. They're like, oh, crap, it's the cops. What do I do now? Well, you better already have a...
That's my first reaction is, oh, shit, you know?
You better already have
Here we go
dash cam going. You know, you need to have your dash cam rolling by then. Because I advocate everybody record everything, and
record everything, every encounter,
and publish everything too. Because if the cop was good, you want to give him props for that. If the cop wasn't good, you want to put him on. You want to. I was going to say put him on blast, but you want to expose that, you know, because
right. You want to post everything.
Yeah, everything. I have a video of the first time
whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I have a video of me getting arrested. I have several, actually, you know, but that didn't stop me. It'll never stop me. They'll never bring me back into compliance. So once you have your dash cam rolling, when the cop gets up to the window, he's going to ask you for some documentation. And, you know, it's the Fifth Amendment says that you have the right to not incriminate yourself. And what he's planning on doing is having you incriminate yourself right there on the side of the road. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is ask him if anything he's asking you for, he's planning on using against you in court. And how he answers that question is cool, but he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. Because if he says that he is planning on using that stuff against you in court, oh, well, I'm not trying to self-incriminate here, buddy, you know, so I'm not going to do anything. If he's, oh, we're not going to use any of that stuff against you in court, then lying to you, says his whole game is to, if he's asking for a driver's license, to try to get you to defend against that. Not happening. So
Right.
I've seen people say actually the 5th. I am planning on doing any of that against me in court because I'm not into self-incrimination. Stuck up for my 4th Amendment. I just stuck up for my 5th Amendment, but I didn't say it. I didn't say 4th Amendment, 5th Amendment. I have the right to be secure in my papers, you know. No, I just said, look, are you
Right.
come on. You know, I kind of treat it like it's something a little funny, you know, it's almost like a joke to me. But you know, what he's trying to do to me is not a joke, but how he's going about it is just ridiculous. So that to me is what the joke is. And so when he says no or yes to that question, whatever, his whole game is just going to be to try to get you back into compliance. And if you stand on that, you know, whatever, he's gonna. What you really want next is for him to threaten you. What they did to me one time is they asked me what my name is, and I said, "Well, I could give you the name that I use." And they threatened me right there. They were like, "How bad do you want to drive out of here?" And that's a threat. That's a threat to me. So at that point, I'll just give them whatever they want.
That's how they operate, man.
That's the exclusionary rule comes into play right as soon as they threaten you, and all that stuff that you give them after being threatened is inadmissible. So it's called the exclusionary rule. You can Google that right now, and it'll tell you what's up. But yeah, wait for them to threaten you, and then give them what they want.
At that point, it's threat, duress, and coercion.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's why when you give them that information, it's not going to be, you know, like, is torture a legitimate way to get a testimony out of someone? No. So neither is them threatening to take you to jail. You know, that's basically the same thing. Them threatening you is saying, okay, well, are you going to comply with us if we torture you? Like, come on, man. That's against the rules. You guys, you know, you like to resort to violence, but that's wrong. so we don't do violence, you know?
I mean, you can get someone to say anything if you put them under torture, you know?
Yeah. And the reason why
people will say anything, you know, just to get you to stop torturing them.
Yes, exactly. The first thing I will tell a cop, I made a mistake earlier, didn't mention this. I think I did mention it earlier, but not recently earlier. I would tell a cop first thing, thank you for your service, because you know, people will say, oh, that's brown nosing, but I will say that it is stroking the ego of the guy I want to let me leave. You know,
exactly.
There's a difference, you know. I'm not going to claim that I know my rights, that he's violating my rights and all this, and try to fight with him because I'm not at war. You know, if he wants to take me downtown or whatever, I'm not going to give him more of a reason to do that to me. You know, that's kind of crazy. So, I don't know.
It's also, you know, you're treating them with kindness and hoping that they'll return the kindness, you know?
Yeah. And if they don't, what kind of a person are they? You know?
Exactly.
So
you're only exposing them at that point.
Yeah, like I remember, I think my mom used to tell me you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. You know, you're not gonna not gonna have a good time if you're intimidated, if you're trying to play that intimidation game, or the thing where you're angry and they're not, you know, you're gonna end up in cuffs or worse if you're not lucky. You know, I mean. So it's best just to...
That's what I tell people. You're never going to win an argument with a cop on the side of the road, you know, because he's armed, and the first thing he's going to do is radio in his buddies, you know?
Yep.
And it's going to go from one to 3 officers to 10.
Yeah. And I'll say
they'll just keep
coming. You know, will you allow me the chance to argue this in court, you know, kind of thing. And if it appears to me that they're not going to be reasonable, which they usually will not be reasonable in court either, because their whole system is set up that way to get you to, you know, comply. I don't know. I lost my train of thought again, but
well, it's all about compliance for them. Like you said, it's a compliance game. All they want you to do is,
if they get you back,
they just want you to submit.
They need you to be paying and be scared of leaving. Love your enslavement. So, how many people got watching? Can you? 6 people?
6, yeah.
Questions?
Carolina asked, do you sign the ticket? Yeah, I just posted one on the screen.
I try not to sign the ticket. If they're saying sign the ticket or else, I will make a notation in front of my signature that they said sign the ticket or else. Basically, you can make that several different ways. You could say under duress right before your name, or you can write cops were threatening. You could write anything. You could even put 3 little dots called an ellipsis, saying that you have something that there's something else that remains unsaid. You know what I mean? And then if you can bring that up later, to put that little notation on there that you were threatened and that you did not feel comfortable. Just simply a guy approaching your car wearing a gun on his hip is threatening. We got to realize, that the whole extortion racket depends on our fear and our being scared to do anything about it. It's like a giant, huge kraken or something that when you swing at it, it disappears, or it doesn't have any. There's nothing to it, it looks scary. It's huge and it looks scary, but it's up to us to slay our demons, and we're never going to be able to take them out if we just comply with them. That's what they need us to do for them to stay in charge. So, what was I? If the cops, when they want you to sign a ticket, they always say this. They always say, this is not an admission of guilt. This is just a promise to appear. We got to think about that. And I would say, I don't just make promises. The judge is not going to take your promise lightly, and neither should you. So I would let the cop know that. And, you need to have everything recorded the whole time. Like, that was the first thing you got to do, so that you can evidence and document these things that you're saying. Because
absolutely,
if you let the cop know that you are you're not willing to just make willy-nilly promises to anybody on the street, which is what I wouldn't be doing either, that will be evidenced in your video. And heck, after the fact, well, let's hold on that civil lawsuit stuff. Before we get there, I'll say you file it in your federal district court that is in your region. But after you get your ticket from the cop, after he lets you go, if you're lucky enough to, if you're lucky enough to have got let go, then good for you. But if they gave you a ticket, what you need to do after that is call up that prosecutor and say, look, I got video of a cop extorting me or attempted extortion, and he made threats, and I've got the whole thing on video, and he tried to get me to promise to appear. And look, I don't consent to any of this. And if you want to bring me in there, you need to have proof. You need to have evidence that I have a contract with you guys, and that I've, applied to the DMV to have a licensing agreement, because that's the only way you can get me under these policies. And you need to bring that evidence or show it to me. I could show you this video I made of a cop trying to intimidate, harass, extort, threaten, all this stuff. And whatever you want to do. Now that's where the federal civil lawsuit comes into play. But it's tough. You got to have all your ducks in a row, and you need to, because you can't. I mean, if I were to hire an attorney, it would only be for that purpose, for a civil lawsuit against the cops. But you're not going to be able to get any like criminal charges on them, because we're dealing with their whole system is their whole system. You know what I mean? So it's good.
Is it better to go after their bond? Would it be better to go after their bond? Because they all have to be bonded and insured to work in the public sector.
Yeah. I don't know going after anything, because that makes us like them. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's vengeance is not mine. Who would myself? This is the toughest thing. Who would Jesus do? You know? It's just tough. I've never sued anyone in federal court because I don't know federal court, and that's probably the thing that most people, the obstacle that most people have is not knowing that system. And it's still the thing where, I don't know. It's like, if you were a slave back in the day, would you go to the owner of the plantation to redress your grievances, or maybe
absolutely not.
It's we're stuck, man.
I see what you're saying. It's the same analogy. Any way you look at it, same analogy.
Yeah. And you know what kind of a judgment would you receive if you sued someone in federal court and got a bunch of Federal Reserve notes? That didn't do anything except for cost the taxpayers a bunch of money, And these notes
just more
that
debt.
They got us, these notes that they got us clamoring for are all fiction. They're fake. They have no value. As a matter of fact, they're debt. They have negative value. So
it's all debt.
It sucks
money is debt in their system.
And we can't survive without them. That's how they got most of us starving these days. They closed down all our businesses, and then they made it so we can't even feed ourselves. And that's really, this is turning people into that, taking them to that place where they're getting desperate. And it sucks because we don't even have an enemy. You know what I mean? There's no one to fight to fix this.
Exactly.
So we have to spread awareness to each other, and they're taking that away. Their YouTube, I'm not monetized, and to look at it this way, if someone is monetized on YouTube, what's going on? That would be an indication to me that they're how do they,
they're sharing,
especially if they're especially if they're saying that they're trying to fight against,
they're sharing the official narrative. That's what that means.
Yeah I mean, because everybody that has a dissenting view has been turned off, demonetized, and they're taking the money away from all the small businesses, giving it all to the big, like Amazon and Walmart. They're starving us out. They're trying to kill us, is what they're doing. And I don't even know who the enemy is. Who do we fight? This is so crazy, this situation. So I'm gonna keep doing what my intuition tells me, and what I feel is the right thing. And I'm not gonna fall for their negativity. I'm not gonna fall into that negativity stuff. I am gonna try to stay positive, and I'm gonna try to spread that positive. I'm gonna try to charge other people's batteries instead of draining them. Try to help people when I can.
Yep.
So.
And keep spreading the truth.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's probably all I have now. I think I made it to an hour. Anybody else have questions?
We did, man. We got an hour. We got an hour in there. Louis is asking, I'll put his question up on the screen here. So officers can't be held accountable aside from striking their testimony / making them incompetent within their case only.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I will know.
I'm not sure if that's a statement or a question.
Yeah, I'll address it anyway. You know, when I go to court, that's why I'll tell them that I decline to participate. You know, that's the thing. I'm not trying to participate in the sham, in the fraud. So I will make that known. I will make it known that I believe it's a fraud to trade my God-given rights for state-regulated privileges. You know, I'm done playing fraud.
Right.
And I'm not going to participate unless they have a contract. If they have a licensing agreement that I have signed and is valid and dated and all that stuff, then I get what, you know, they can do whatever. But if they don't have evidence, I'm in a contract with them, authority to be doing anything to me, absent victim.
I thought that was the whole basis for Admiralty Maritime Law anyway. It's contract based, right?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. You have to consent. You know, America was something new and original, and nothing like it had existed before it. And it was where, you know, we took away the king and made the people into the sovereigns, you know? So, yeah, it's the thing is that we are in charge. You know, in this country, we created government to serve us and only to protect our rights. And even in the documentation that started this, that's the foundation of this country, we have the right to alter, abolish, change. You know, we are in charge, not them. So we need to all just walk away from it.
Right.
And when they try to get us to participate in those sham proceedings, we have to make it known that we decline to participate. Because if we just sit there and don't say anything, they took care of that. That's acquiescence. They could just railroad us if we don't say anything.
Silence is acquiescence.
Yeah. If we tell them that we do not consent and we're making that known just in case someone that, you know, because our presence may appear to consent, you know, I'm going to make it known that I don't consent and I decline to participate, you know. And then when it comes back, if it ever comes back to that, you know, I was not even there, you know, so they can't just, you know, I don't know.
So it sounds like non-participation is the answer. Like we all just need to walk away.
Yeah. You know, if you're getting robbed or mugged in the back alley, are you going to mouth off to the guy who's robbing you? You know, no, because you'll probably get killed. So that's the same with these cops.
Exactly.
Try to walk away with your life. Be nice to the guy. You know, at least you had the higher moral. You stood the higher moral ground. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's hard. It's easy to get stuck in that duality of wanting to be the guy who vengeance is mine kind of thing. You know, but it's really not, you know. Everything that I've let go,
I can almost guarantee that we're not going to impress the cops with our, you know, amazing amount of knowledge of the law. They're going to, you know, get angry and violent.
It's real simple.
Point.
It's real simple that, you know, just, are you planning on using those against me in court? You know, just be straight up with them. Ask them real questions like that one right there. You know, that one's a good one because it's a catch-22. Either way, any way they answer, they're done, really. You know, and yeah, it's hard to impeach a cop on a stand, but it's still going to make an impression to the jury. If you know, I don't know. like I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit there, because if you're not participating, then there probably won't be a jury. But sometimes they'll make a show of a trial just to act like they're being legitimate. But we don't have, if a trial by jury in their court is not going to be a jury of my peers. It's going to be a jury of people that are brainwashed, like librarians and people that work at the water company.
Absolutely.
And dog catchers, and you know what I mean? So even their jury is not going to, they're not going to see it from, they might, because nowadays, this is the environment, and the COVID-19 and all this has changed things. But I still don't think that those are our peers. They aren't going to give us a good decision, because they aren't even they're people that are still like in the matrix, so to speak. So
they're still agents.
Yeah.
It's like agents. What Morpheus told Neo, the agents of the system are everywhere, and they'll do anything to protect the system. So we're not going to get any help from them. Although jury nullification, that's a powerful tool that most people don't even realize when they serve on a jury.
Yeah.
As the jury has the power to nullify any statute that they deem as unconstitutional.
They do, but I've heard of judges like they'll disbar an attorney that even brings that stuff up. I mean, that's an attorney. You have an attorney defending you because he will never be able to bring the appropriate defenses. Like the one where you don't have a conflict with, you have a license agreement, not op-commerce, victimless fee schedule for stuff that you didn't, you're not. If you didn't work at Walmart, you wouldn't have to go to a Walmart disciplinary hearing, for something that you didn't, a duty you didn't fulfill while you didn't work there. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So.
Right. If you don't work for Walmart, you're not subject to Walmart's laws and their corporate policies.
And that's what the gatekeepers.
It's the same thing, and
they're trying to keep you in that. I've taken so much business away from the DMV, and they can't have that. They need everybody. They need you scared. They need you scared of giving up your licensing agreement. They need you so that you stay. They keep that agreement because that's everything to them. So, yeah, it's interesting. I've never done. I have done.
Got to keep people subjugated, man.
Yeah, but
got to keep the people subjugated.
Yeah, and it sucks because we were all brought up in a public school system where we were.
I call it the public fool system.
Yeah, we were taught to recite things. It was authoritarian and memorization school training.
They taught to worship the flag and say the pledge.
You raise your hand when your name is
called.
And the
name. What is your name? Raise your hand. Raise your hand when you have to go to the bathroom. And then the bell, very, very Pavlovian. The bell rings, you get up out of your desk. Bell rings, you sit down in your desk.
Yeah,
it's all about control and conditioning.
I pledge my allegiance to God.
Absolutely.
And if I were to have a flag, it would be white, just all white, And that doesn't mean you surrender. The white flag was used when two opposing, generals would come meet.
It was a parlay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for parlay.
So
the white flag of truce.
Yep. That's what that's what we need to stop doing. We just need to stop fighting, man. It seems like our entire history is a primal thing where we just couldn't stop fighting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
beat our swords into plowshares.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, sounds good, man. That's a lot of good advice. I hope the listeners out there got something from the broadcast today.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And I'll have you back on in the future.
Yeah, right on.
I'd like to keep in touch with you and, keep following your path. Because I think you're doing all the right things, man.
I feel like I got to make some more traveling videos, so I'm going to work on doing that as well. I got to keep everything going, keep it alive. And I'm not trying to
keep it alive, man.
I'm not trying to make anybody pay. Vengeance is not mine. And that's hard because that's a big lesson.
Well, what you're doing is you're showing people that it can and that it is being done. We don't have to live under the thumb of government.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless of what the threat is, if you dare be free, I'm going to take that risk, because what kind of a world am I leaving for my daughter, for future generations? My life isn't even mine. Really, it's I have to give it to. I'm donated it to cause, because I can't good leave my daughter like this. This is just, man, we got to do something. So.
Better to die on our feet than live on our knees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I'm done kissing boots.
That's what I have to say. That's right. A bootlicker. He's just another bootlicker.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that euphemism, bootlicker. It's so adequate, adequate and accurate. People out there, you leave my police officer alone. He's a good police officer. It's like, shut up, you bootlicker. Wow.
Yeah, the one I like is when they say,
thanks for your time, man.
Real quick, the one I really like to say is when they say, oh, what if you kill somebody? Well, what amount of money, would the insurance company have to pay out to bring someone back to life? It doesn't happen. I'd rather be responsible for myself.
Exactly. It doesn't happen.
With that, thank you for having me on.
Accountable for our own actions,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Until next time.
All right.
Keep it real out there.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. You too.